All right, we are live. This is wild. Welcome. We're going to call this episode 65 of the Athletic Philosopher Podcast. I am your humble host, Dr. Oh, did I actually do that? Ugh. I used to be a professor, so you actually have to say those types of things, but I really don't like being called doctor. Jordan Goldstein. I was a former professor of sport history, sport philosophy, sport sociology, and sport history. There were complications that arose at the university over a long period of time, sustained complications. And so we're just not in that world anymore. And instead, we are live in the world of online fitness, life, and endurance coaching. Tribal Prof on team tribal training, take down big endurance races, but only en route to becoming the best versions of ourselves. And I have my own unique blend of life and fitness coaching when it comes to finding consistency in the gym and then leveraging that into consistency outside of your life to go after big things, usually creative projects, new business ventures, new life directions, really aiming yourself back at those deep values. And, this has all kind of emerged very slowly out of my own unique, both understanding of sport back when I was teaching it, but also my own practicing of sport. Is that even a word, practicing? You wouldn't think that I was a professor, but I was. And what I want to talk about today is it's kind of neat. And just for the people listening on the podcast, there is something different about this podcast. I'm actually live streaming right now on X or Twitter. So I've got my podcast set up, but I also have a phone, and there could be some live interaction if anybody actually is going to watch and wants to ask a question. I don't even know. We're just doing this as a little bit of an experiment and a little bit of fun. So if there is some sort of live interaction, I'm going to go for it. Otherwise, I'm just going to see kind of what is happening out there. So we're going to pause on talking to the podcast people. I'm going to talk directly to my Twitter people. If anybody's actually out there, I'm just using this as an experimentation space. And I'm going to take you guys through the off the couch marathon that I'm running tomorrow. I'm going to talk a little bit about where this even came from, because this has only come up within the last 2 weeks or so, why I decided to take it on. And we're going to actually do a little bit of live planning, because I really don't even know how I'm supposed to do this. And I'm doing it in like less than 24 hours. So I'm kind of using this as a last second cramming and prepping strategy, which when I was a professor, I would never have done this. I'd never have done it as a student. But apparently that's what we're doing. So that's what we got going. I'm just going to quickly check my phone. It says I got some. Wow. Okay. We got like 9 people on the Twitter that are watching right now. This is very cool. Okay. So if anybody who's watching live wants to chime in on the chat or anything, go for it. This is going to be interactive. And if you're listening, yeah, maybe I will start live streaming these and you guys can hop in for a future episode. Let me get some motivation here. A little coffee, and let's get into it. Okay, so what? I'm running a marathon tomorrow, 26.2 miles. Why? Well, it's kind of emerged 2 weeks ago out of a fun little challenge from tribal training. I'm always bad with the mirror. The tribal training head coach, Ryan Dreyer. And he was talking about, he's got this new thing where he's slamming the 8:30 minute mile guy on Strava, which I like this. It's kind of like the guy who cares so much about the number that he doesn't actually do the training properly, right? The 8:30 minute mile guy is the guy who doesn't run slow enough because he's worried about posting a slow run on Strava and having people think he's not fast or not fit. So it's kind of a funny one. And, I posted out this 7.5 mile, 8:30 minute mile pace run. And I got an exemption card, right, on Twitter. Coach says, JB Goldstein is exempted from the 8:30 minute mile club. Why? Because he consistently runs sub 7s. Like, I run a lot of 6-minute miles. And I'm just a relatively quick runner. I'm not fast. I'm not like elite level fast or anything, but like I'm quick. And, that got a couple of people talking on the bottom. And it's like, yeah, if you want to run a marathon at, X pace, you should never do that. And then I commented underneath, I mean, I don't really care what your marathon time is unless you've done it without food, water, and in a fasted state, which I have done before. And I did it in 4 hours and 6 minutes. And that's with me walking the final half mile because I had to go and pick my kids up. So like I could have broken sub 4 on a marathon without fueling or having anything to drink in the marathon. So I've always had this thought in my mind, like, what would my pacing actually be if I fueled properly, before the run, but also like during the run? Like what could I sustain? And that's where this sort of like challenge emerged from. Coach knows that I got a 50K winter trail run in the second weekend of January, and that's 3 weeks before we're taking on a 50-mile race in the desert with the team. And when we're doing these team ultras, like, I'm not there to perform. I'm there to coach people through the race. So I do the 50-miler, but what I'm really doing is coaching the people that are struggling in the 50-miler. So I'm doing the race, but I'm coaching in the race at the same time. So it's a pretty big ask. And he throws out this idea of like, hey, why don't you just go and run a marathon? Why don't you just use that as a peak training session for the 50K you're building towards, which in and of itself is a peak session for the 50-miler that we're doing? And I just thought, yeah, that's cool. That sounds great. And somewhere up along that thread, I had mentioned, I think if I actually was training for a marathon, I think my target and aim pace would be somewhere between like 6:45 and 6:55 minute miles. I think that's a reasonable, sustainable, not really pushing too hard, but trying to get like the best out of me where I could sustain that relatively comfortably for the entire marathon. Like I believe if I was really stretching pace, it would be much closer to like 6:30, 6:25. And I'd really need to train, and I'd really need to dedicate myself with interval work and speed blocks and practicing fueling and all these things. But my experience and my competency level, I actually think I could probably go out and run a marathon at 6:50 minute mile paces, like right now, like today or tomorrow. And so that's what I signed up to do. And this was like a little over or a little under 2 weeks ago. I was a historian, so you'd think I should know things about like the dates and the times of things, but we're not in the university anymore, so who cares? That's the way I think about it. And and so I took on this challenge. And so for the last 10 days or so, my training has kind of now been geared towards taking down this marathon, which I proclaimed the date was going to be December the 4th, which is tomorrow. Now, there's a couple of things that have happened in between. So I went out last week and I did a solid training run. I did a 10-miler, and I did it in and around the pace that I want to hold. So I did it with a 6 minute and 53-second minute mile pace. So I think it was something like 108 and change for the 10 miles. But I didn't fuel. So I do all my exercise fasted, and I do all my runs without water and without fuel. It's not optimal for the body. It's just my style. It's emerged. You can go back. You can listen to my recap on the fasted marathon that I took down, which was the logical extension or the illogical extension of this style of training that I took down in May of this year. But I was really happy. Like, I felt the juice kind of starting to go out of my legs around mile 8 in terms of power. But like, if I'm fueling properly, I've already taken this. I'm already on like fuel number 2 by mile 8. So I'm not like super worried about losing my legs or having my cardio really be affected. I think my BPM was something like 157. So that's like mid zone 3 for me, maybe starting to creep into threshold a little bit, like, but not much. So sustainable, hard effort, but sustainable. So that's kind of where this came from. Now, why? Well, it's kind of a testament to my entire philosophy on training, which is consistency overall. Like, I am a 7-day-a-week exerciser. And when I say that, people might think, when's your rest day? Well, it's kind of like 3 of those days are usually rest days where I'm exercising for like 20 or 25 minutes. And I'm not doing it with big time heavy weights, but I'm doing it with resistance that aids in my ability to not only recover, but also strengthen myself for running, mostly running. So it's not even really like active recovery, but it's like strength training as stretching is a good way to think about it, of what I do. So yesterday I was out jumping rope, and I only did two different step variations, basically up on the balls of my feet. They're called mummy kicks, and you have straight legs and you're up like this, and then heel kicks where you're striking out and putting the bottom of your heel down. And I did that with the specific intention of opening up my hips while also creating a little bit of rotational strength in my arms, because I was using a 1 pound jump rope. So I've been exercising like this for 11 years now, 12 years, 13 years, 2 to 3 runs a week, 3 to 4 strength sessions. Eventually over time that turned into like 3 to 4 runs a week, 2 to 3 strength sessions, right? And I just want to be able to have the capacity and the ability to go do cool things. That's it. Like, I want to always be ready. And it's like, be ready, stay ready, when it comes to my mentality on training here. So when I get offered, hey, go run a marathon as part of your training, it would be totally within your style, which coach knows. It's like, yeah, that sounds great. Like, I'm on solo dad duty this week. My wife is across the Atlantic in Europe. I drop my kids off at school 8:30 to 9, and I got to pick them back up, 3:30 to 4. When's the marathon's going to happen right in the middle of that? Like, it's perfect. So the reason I take on the challenge is because it's not a big ask for me to go out and run 26.2 miles. And it's not that I train to run that distance. It's that I'm always training. It's that I'm always active. It's that I never skip sessions. And when I have the chance to skip a session, I'll check down. If it was a 60-minute run that I wanted to get, but things happened and now it's only a 35-minute run, I'm going to go out and have the best 35-minute run that I can get, right? Or if I wanted to maybe jump rope and lift, but now I can't do both, I'm going to go out and get 20 minutes with the jump rope, and I'm going to feel great about it. I'm going to move on to the next day. So my capacity is high. And not because I train for a high capacity, but because I just train consistently, right? The stacking of the sessions is what leads to the capacity, right? So that it's not even this crazy ask. When someone says, why don't you just go run a marathon? It's, oh yeah, why not? Like, it's not the distance. It's not the distance that scares me. What actually is the most difficult part is what we're going to all kind of talk through in just a second here, which is the logistics. How do you do it? How do you run a self-supported marathon with pacing goals? That's crazy. I could run the 26.2 miles without a pacing goal. That's not a problem. You can stop at the stoplights. You can wait for cars. You can figure out your fueling stations. You can take a little bit of time stopping to hydrate. But like, I put it out there that I kind of wanted this off the couch to come with a little bit of a time performance on it. And not for the sense of me like stretching or me feeling I've got to prove myself with the time, but I've been doing a lot more road running here in Chicago than I've ever done. So the thoughts have always just been creeping into my mind. Like, what could I do? And some of my best friends are training for fast marathons. So naturally it's like, what could I do? What could I do? So it's like the opportunity emerges, the capacity is there, the capability is there. So why wouldn't I jump all over it and try to make it my own? Like, that's where we're at with this thing. So it's so funny how these things always work out, right? Because I go on this 10-mile run last Monday, and I'm thinking, man, this is good. And I've been thinking about this logistical problem, and basically that entire run, I'm thinking of the logistics. And I'll just bring you right into my thought process here. Like, let's just take the curtain down. How do you take down a sub 3-hour marathon in between dropping your kids off and picking them up from school on a normal Thursday? Like, when you sign up for a marathon, you get aid stations along the route. You get traffic closed off, so you don't got to worry about cars. Like, that's why you pay all the money, like, to get into the race, is for those things, so you don't got to worry about it. I got to worry about all that. I got to cover 26.2 miles, guys. That's a long distance. And I want to go fast, which means I got to have fuel. So I either have to carry all my fuel, which is going to affect how fast I'm going to be able to run, or I've got to like plan the route and drop fuel and hope, that people just don't mess with my stuff. So now I'm thinking like, shoot, where am I actually going to run this thing? I said yes, and then it's like, crap, how am I going to actually make this thing happen? So I started to think, okay, the first thing I need to do is minimize the amount of traffic I have to deal with. Like, I cannot be stopping at red lights. I cannot have busy stop signs in intersections where I gotta slow my pace 1 or 2 times every single mile. Like, that's gonna mess up with my flow. That's gonna mess up with my overall timing goals. So I need to find like a running path. I need to get something. And, I'm living in Chicago. They have this incredible lakefront path downtown. Right? You could basically run a half marathon on the thing. I think it's like 15 miles. So my initial thought was, okay, drop off the kids, drive downtown, park. You're not going to have to see any cars. Run 13.1, come all the way back. But then it's like, what about fuel? What about hydration? What are you going to do? Maybe I park in the middle and I run 5 miles and turn around, and 5 miles and turn around. I have a central aid station, and I even thought about bringing a blanket and like bringing a sign that said self-supported marathon aid station, please don't touch, right? Where I'd have water and my fueling. But then it's like that. I'm not that comfortable. I'm not that familiar with that area. What happens if I got to jump off the trail, like to go to the bathroom, or I got to pull the plug? Like what happens here? What happens? Because I got to go back and pick up my kids. Like at the end of the day, I got to go back and pick up my kids, and I got to be there for them. And my wife's not coming home till like Sunday. So I don't really have an option here. I can't go for broke or anything like that. So I really need to be thoughtful about this. So that was thought number 1. Thought number 2, there's a biking path, that goes around the Skokie Lagoons and down south for, again, probably like 10, 13 miles or so. And there's this loop. There's this loop that's about a 4-mile loop that goes around one of these islands. And it's actually the island that I trail run in, which has its own little 4-mile loop inside the island. So it's kind of fun. 4-mile loop on the path outside, 4-mile loop inside. But then I started thinking, that's a pretty hilly 4 miles. Like, I think it's somewhere around 150. And none of these are really big, but, I'm projecting out to 26 miles. I'm like, well, that's rather hilly. And am I going to be able to go that fast over all those hills? The lakefront path, it's flat. So these are the types of things that I'm starting to like balance against each other when I'm trying to craft this self-supported off-the-couch marathon. Even just saying it out loud is a little absurd, but I kind of like it. But with a 4-mile loop, what do I have? I got an aid station every 4 miles. If I come back to my car, like I can start to, I can really, really make hay with this, like 6 times around a 4-mile loop. And I only have to cross one place that's not like a stop sign for me. And I'm thinking, well, if I have to cross that 6 times, I should be able to make it up. And, I'll get the downhills, and they're not big uphills. And I used to just sprint up cliffs back in Ontario, right on the Niagara Escarpment. So I kind of started to settle in on that idea, right? And I was, I got my fuel, like we're testing it out. Shout out to, again, Coach Dreyer. We got our Maple Boost right here from Tribal Sups, maple syrup and Mediterranean sea salt. That's all that is in this. And since I don't fuel, but I'm a very clean eater, I don't like all the goos and the gels and all of the processed crap, which is one of the reasons I don't fuel. But now I was going to fuel with this. Got a couple of caffeinated chocolates and some water that I was going to use. So like things were starting to come together until the weekend when we got 1.5 feet of snow dumped on us here in Chicago. And do you know what that does to a running path? Like, you can't run on it anymore. Like, you can, but now it's snow. And this idea of a timed or paced out marathon, it like evaporated. The more snow that kept dropping, I just saw this whole effort being compromised. And we were in a team call with Coach yesterday, and we were sort of talking about what we use the off season for, and a lot of it is like this testing and experimentation, which clearly this is just what I'm doing with my training. It's could I run a marathon without even really training for it, and could it be a pretty solid time? Like, a sub-3 marathon is not a joke, no matter who you are and no matter how you had to train for it. Like, that's a big deal. So if I can effectively like roll off the couch, not do much different than I'm doing just every other week, and bang out a sub-3 marathon, like, to me, that's just so cool. That's so much cooler than even like saying you want to sign up for a race and go hard after it. To me, like, this is so much more my style. I got to fit it in with what I'm doing with the kids. I now have to get creative and figure out my route. Like, solving the logistic problem becomes as much and as meaningful a part of the game as actually doing the thing with the numbers, right? This is why I'm not very excited by standard races, because I like using the training as a challenge for my life, and I really find value in fitting it in. Like, I'm literally going to push stop on this. I'm going to do 25 minutes with my mace just to do that stretching, and then I'm jumping in the car to go take my kids to hockey practice right after this. Right, so the flow is very important to me, and finding ways to flow is very important to me. But this snow is like creating this gigantic question mark inside of me. Like, what do I do now? Do I abandon the time goal? Do I just run on the snow for 26.2 miles? Do I try and hack my way through neighborhoods? Because the streets are bare, but you can't really run too much on the sidewalk. So here we're gonna live plan tomorrow. So I'm gonna go do this tomorrow. I'm gonna hold myself to as strict an adherence to the original goal as possible. So I'm still going to go out, I'm still going to run 26.2 miles, and I'm still going to aim for a relatively quick pace. I'm going to adjust it up a little bit. So rather than going for like 6:50, I'm going to adjust it up to 7. And even my initial goal, there's a buffer. Like, 6:50 was the aim, but really it's like anything under 7:30 as the average for the whole thing, I was going to be super happy with. So it's like something like that too. So if I run the marathon and I'm starting out fast and I have to just check down to a slower pace, I'm fine with that. I got no issues. Checking down to something if I need to. But I'm going to start out going for it. I'm going to let the action dictate where the experience goes. I'm going to allow it to emerge through the action. Because again, the most important part of this is fitting it in and flowing with everything else I've got to do. Like, I think it's cheating in a sense if I was in a regular race and I had a day of recovery and people were going to be like, that's fine. And there's a really important function and value for the races. So I'm not discounting the importance of those, but for me in this challenge, I just want to be held accountable to, I said I was going to try to do this on this date, and no matter what happens, I'm going to go out and give it my best, and the outcome doesn't really matter, but it's the willingness to try and the courage to keep going when things make it more difficult, like getting a foot and a half of snow dumped on your city. And in this group call yesterday, the coach, he's trying to help me out. He's saying, when it comes to testing and there are some things that are in your way, like, it's okay. So if you feel like you go on a push to next week, like, nobody's going to hold that against you. And, and I made the commitment on social media, so it's not a big deal either way, even if I did move it or not. It's not like I feel like I have to do it for other people, but I actually now really want to just do it for myself, because how cool is it to have to hack out the original experience from even more adverse situation. So now we have a totally new plan. Because part of me also wants to jump in the lake after this because I had a little bit of a wheel spinning incident yesterday. I wanted to go run and jump in the lake. And when I say the lake, I mean Lake Michigan in December. And if I looked at the temperature yesterday, it was like 45 degrees. It's probably like 44 degrees with some snow and ice floating around down there. Cold, very cold. So we're going to go and I'm going to park right at the beach where we go and where I do a lot of my cold plunging. And I'm going to run up and down one of the most ridiculous streets that exists in the world. This is Sheridan Road in the North Shore suburbs of Chicago. And they plow that sidewalk. I went and I scouted it. That sidewalk is plowed. The street is not heavily driven upon. And I'm just going to run on the snow. I'm going to take my shoes. I'm going to run on whatever little snow and ice there might be. I'm going to rely on the power of my legs. I'm going to rely on the fact that I'm boosting with the Maple Boost. So my legs are actually going to be getting fuel, right? And the muscles are going to be recharged. There's one tricky spot. And so you guys can come with me as I live plan this. Oh, my phone's here. I can't do it. I'll pull up a browser. Let's do it. Let's pull up a browser. Because there's one part of Sheridan Road. It's like this ravine. It goes down and up. And it's one of the reasons I like running there because there's not really a lot of hills where I live. But it's this really nice kind of windy ravine that goes down and then up. But they didn't plow that sidewalk. That sidewalk didn't get plowed. So it's almost like I got to jut into the neighborhood, go around the ravine, and then catch up with the road on the other side. And I'm literally going to scout that right now on Google Maps so that I have some kind of an idea. And I've got a relative distance of Sheridan Road from my where I'm going to park down to where I'm going to turn around, which is Gilson Beach, which is south in Wilmette, just right on the other side of Evanston. That's about 5.5 miles. So if I can go 5.5 down, 5.5 back, and I can go north maybe another mile or so, that's kind of one half marathon right there. And I just do it twice. That's the plan. And I'm going to, carry with me, I think, enough fuel to go about 10 miles. And I'm going to keep my hydration in the car because it's going to be cold on Thursday. It's going to be very cold on Thursday. I think they're calling for something like a high of 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold. And when you're cold, you just don't need the hydration as much. So I'm going to take the Maple Boost, and I may take a handheld. I haven't decided yet. Water bottle, and then I'm going to restock when I pass up my car, kind of around the 10-mile mark, and then coming back around. And I'm just going to kind of wing it. When it comes to the fueling strategy, I really trust that any fuel is good fuel for me because my body just knows what to do without any fuel. Like I'll go for a 3-hour trail run without any food, without any water. Yeah, you get tired at the end. You're covering 20 miles or something in the 2.5 hours. So my body knows where to go to get energy when there is no energy to get. So if it has any energy there and it's got any hydration, it's like a cheat code. So let me just pull up this map right now because I just got to figure out how I'm going to jut around this ravine. And I'm just bringing it up now. For the people listening on the podcast, I want you to take from this whole exercise like the creativity that comes when you decide to take on challenges like that are just for you and that you're the only one who's like making it real, making it happen. You get all this ownership, right? You get all this ability to make it your own that you just don't have in other areas of the fitness world. And it goes down literally even to the root of how you're going to take this down. All right. So I was driving down this yesterday. We got public access. Okay. So it looks like, Sheridan Road. It's this Scott Ave. And I got to get up there and I got to go around, get onto Old Green Bay, and then all the way down to Tower. And that's probably going to add another half mile or a mile onto that. So it's probably closer to like 6 miles then to get down to the beach. And while it is going to be cold tomorrow, today is warm and it's sunny and there's all this salt that's down. And so I'm just banking on the fact that the sidewalks are going to be dry. They're going to be bare. And then I'm going to be able to make a good go of this. Because next week's not getting any better. It's not getting any warmer. There's just more snow dropping. That means more ice is going to be forming on the path, the running path. Like the running path that I wanted to do this on, that's not a running path until like April now or March. I haven't been the full winter here in the North Shore suburbs of Chicago. But the fact that it's already snowing here in December and it's just like not going to get super warm for a couple days, like it might. You may get a rainstorm. That's the only thing that's going to get rid of all the ice on the path is like 2 or 3 days of rain in a row. And that's not happening before I go to Canada. So if I want to take this thing down before my 50K, it's literally like tomorrow or never, because it's the conditions are just, they're not going to be so good. Anyways, so I can't push it. You can't push it. The weather is just forcing me into all this adaptation. And maybe this will be kind of like, what time are we at here? Oh, we're getting there. It's ain't so bad. Hey, we got 42 people. I got 42 people up on Twitter that are watching this. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Heroes, all of you. I really appreciate you, and I hope you're enjoying this. I really like this idea of live streaming these podcasts, and I think I'll make a regular habit of this. Maybe we'll do some over here on X, and maybe I'll do some over on Substack too, as well. So maybe it won't be an exclusive to one platform kind of a live stream. We're just thinking loud here. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is really cool. So maybe the final point about this whole thing is like, I want to do this without the modifications or the adaptations to the date, because the weather is making it hard, because I'm the guy who's like, lean into winter, embrace the challenge. Everything in winter is harder. Everything in the winter is harder. So why am I about to then massage what's supposed to be a kind of an impromptu, improvised effort by managing it against the weather? Like, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen, right? Rather, I'm more excited about the prospect of a 7:15 minute mile pace for the marathon, where I've had to do all of these adaptations, than I am for a 6:50 minute marathon pace where everything was in my way, or sorry, where everything was in my favor, where there was nothing in my way. And it was just like clear ground, totally easy, no logistical issues to solve. Like, you just went out and you performed. Like, that's cool. And there may be a time where I want to do that in the marathon. Not likely. You never know. Keep it open. So the additional challenge actually is making it more meaningful. It's making it more fun. It's making it more attractive to me. The only thing that's kind of in my way is I kind of wish I was trail running right now. Not going to lie. Wednesdays, I usually go trail run in that little 4 miles before I go and jump in the lake and then pick my kids up and take them to hockey practice. Like, I kind of like that chaos. So having to just not do anything the day before this big effort is one of the hardest things, because it's kind of just kicking me out of my flow. And I just love my weekly training. I love my weekly training. So this is actually a little bit of an inconvenience to me in terms of like taking me out of that flow, but I'm working with that. I'm working with the adversity, and I'm just working with the season. Winter is going to challenge me. It's not even winter yet, and winter is already challenging me in terms of the ice and the snow and the shoveling. I had to shovel my driveway 4 times in 15 hours on the weekend because of all the heavy, wet snow that we were getting. I think I can put this map down. I think I kind of know what I'm going to do. And honestly, like, when I go out there tomorrow, if things change and all of a sudden, like, my legs are not having it, I got no shame in quitting it, calling it at 20 miles, because I'm not there to go all out. I'm there to have fun, experiment, test the limits, find them, and then be dad and show up as dad and be the best dad. We have this whole date to the library planned for Thursday, and I'm not going to take that off the table because, oh, dad decided to go out and run and he hurt himself. Like, when I did the fasted marathon, I was still solo dad. So imagine I ran 4 hours and 6 minutes, 26.2 miles in my neighborhood. Half of it was on forest paths that I have access to, and half of it was on the road. And then within an hour, I had to go pick up my kids. Within an hour after finishing, I had to go pick up my kids. I had this all planned out. I had it all planned out. I was like, guys, this is the day we're going to go to Shake Shack because Daddy can't cook and he needs 1 billion calories. And it was great. We went right from school to Shake Shack and it was perfect. So I'll have something like that as well for them tomorrow, but we have this library day that we're gonna do. So that's more important. More important is going out, trying it, seeing what comes about, because there's all these things that have now complicated the effort. But at the end of the day, that's the fun. The fun isn't, oh, I got to hit the number or else. The fun is, well, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do with the constraints that are on me and the complications that continue to emerge as we get closer and closer to the day. It's so wild how all this stuff works. Let me see. We got tons of people here. Or viewers. I don't even know what this number is. So maybe there's someone maybe it's just people who've tuned in, or I don't really know. I was going to solicit for some questions, but I don't think that's quite how this thing is working here. I don't even know. But if anybody has something that they want to chime in on or ask a question about or a comment, I don't even know how this works, this live. It's the first time I've ever done this on Twitter, so I've got no clue how this works. But otherwise, I'm going to start to circle this up and land the plane here. So, like, that's my experience. That's why I'm doing this. That's how I'm planning to take it down. That's what is entering into my mind as to how I'm going to make this thing happen and what's the most valuable part of the whole experience. So let's just like quickly conclude by turning the frame back onto you and giving you a little bit of a takeaway from listening to this, whether you were live or whether you're playing this back on the podcast. Be a mad scientist. Be a mad scientist. Number one. Like, this is such a fun place to play around, guys. Like, experimentation should be a bit kooky. It should be a bit crazy. It should be wild. It should make people look at you like you got 4 heads, right? That's fun. Like, the standard program, the standard thing, that's not exciting. Where's the romance? Where's the adventure? Where's the boldness? Like, be that mad scientist with the hair that goes all out because you're, like Dr. Frankenstein. Like that, I'm harnessing electricity to bring life back from, to the dead. Like, be crazy. Like, be crazy. Be wild. But be wild within your process and within your parameters. So be a mad scientist, but be a mad scientist that's born out of consistency. That is not just me going and doing crazy stuff without the proper preparation or the planning, because I think it's wild to go and do it. There's no chance I say, yeah, I'll try and do the marathon if I haven't been running for 13 years in a row, like 2 to 3 times a week, every single week, without getting injured, with times improving, with distances improving, with all of these metrics improving, not because I'm grinding hard to make them improve, but because I'm just showing up and running in a way that I enjoy, that's fun for me, and that I can have these little mini experiments. I'm talking to you about how do you bring this 26.2 mile effort together when it's self-supported. It's because I've done so many of these, like, well, shoot, I've only got an hour to run. What are the trail conditions like? How far can I go? Where do I got to turn around? What's the time marker? Like, I've played this game a million times in my mind because exercise is a fun and creative space where I allow the emergent properties of the activity to direct the next proper course of action. So it becomes, again, part of my style to flow with the adversity or with the challenges or with the constraints. And that's why I get so excited about doing stuff like this. That's why I get so excited doing this kind of thing. And so you have to be a mad scientist, but it cannot extend beyond the parameters of your process. And your process has to be bound up with consistency. So the first thing, if you want to get creative, if you want to be adventurous, if you want to be bold in the world of running, in the world of lifting, in any sport you're doing or any exercise or fitness endeavor, if you don't got consistency, you don't got the ability to do it. You don't have the ability to get creative. Consistency breeds opportunity. It breeds nuance. It breeds expertise. It allows you to invite yourself into the activity, have the activity open itself up for you, and then you've got a brand new field to explore. It's this idea of soft vigilance from Dr. John Vervaeke. The more I pay attention, the more I narrow my focus to the thing that I'm actively doing, the more I know about that thing, the more I learn about that thing. And then when I'm in that thing, I just explore and I notice. And I notice and I notice and I notice. So that happens physically with the sports in terms of you used to not be so in tune with your body when you were running because you were just huffing and puffing. But as your cardio kind of caught up, you then started to think about, hey, my posture, or where's my foot striking, or how many times am I striking the ground with my cadence, right? You begin to appreciate some of the specific details. And for me, I had this soft vigilance around flowing with my schedule and being creative with exercise. That's the thing I pay attention to more than almost anything when it comes to structuring my training. It's not exactly how am I going to maximize physical gains. It's how am I going to keep this interesting? How am I going to keep myself accountable to a high standard? And how is it going to be creative and flow within what I need to be doing today, in the week, the month, and in the year? So that's what I've got for you today with your lesson, right? If you want to go do some wild things, spur of the moment, improvised, impromptu, you've got to train yourself to do that kind of thing all the time in little sessions. Small wins stack. So I only got 20 minutes, figure out the best 15-minute exercise like that you can get and do that. And then keep it as a tool in your toolkit for when you think like, I can't get anything in, but guess what? I remember doing that 15-minute workout. I'm going to do it again. Right? So apply that idea of soft vigilance to the way in which you create meaning and create your own structure with fitness. And that's going to up your capability and capacity to be able to decide to take on a big challenge within 1 week or 2 weeks or a month, because it's just not going to be so outside of what you're already doing. Like, it sounds crazy to go run a marathon on a random Thursday until it doesn't sound crazy at all. And actually it begins to sound exciting because most people assume it's crazy, and it is, but it's not so crazy for me because it's not outside of my process. It may be at the edges. It may be kind of like breaking free of I may be establishing new parameters for sure. I'm exploring the edges, but there's only a little bit that's on the outside. Most of it is known. So again, it's like the reason I take this challenge on is because I did my own fasted, no food, no fuel marathon in my neighborhood, totally self-supported. And I had a good experience with that. So now I'm emboldened. Oh, one creative project, turned out to be good. Why can't this other creative project that just sort of came up, why can't that also be good? So that's what I got for everybody today. Pretty happy with the way this experiment went with the live streaming as well. I think we're going to continue that. I don't think I'll do X next time. I think we'll move over to Substack and see what we can get on over there. So if you're an X follower listening to this and you're not over on Substack following me, what are you doing? That's where all the articles are. That's where I'm writing 5 times a week and providing you the deep lessons and the expanded understanding. So you definitely want to be over there following me and getting the articles. That's for sure. But I really like this. And I think this is actually going to open up some really cool potential podcasts in the future where there maybe is some interaction, and maybe they can be like live coaching or live teaching or live philosophy discussions. Like, who knows? With followers and with fans and with people who are just as interested in this stuff as I am. Tongue-tied. All right. I really got to get to it. I went long on one of my coaching calls, which everybody knows. I just go long because I love to talk and I love to talk with my people. But I'm up against it. I got to get my training in. I got to actually start carb loading. Usually I don't start eating until like 5 or 6, but I'm going to start eating pretty soon because I got 26.2 miles to run tomorrow. So we're going to be hydrating. We're going to be carb loading. We're going to be eating breakfast tomorrow, which we don't do. We're going to be fueling. We're going to be feeling good. And I will definitely be back to give everybody the recap on how this goes. So maybe this is part 1. We'll hit the part 2 later. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in contact with me, because this type of creative, flowing, mad scientist style of fitness is what I encourage my coaching clients to adopt. And this is the way in which we can leverage what we're doing in the training to really break free in the rest of our lives so that we can live by design, live by our dreams, live by our values, as opposed to, settling, living for other people, their expectations, and not really fulfilling our true potential. So if you want to get in contact with me to discuss what this could look like for you, put my information in the show notes for the podcast. And if you are still listening live to this on Twitter, just shoot me a DM and we can continue the conversation in there. Peace and love. Happy training. Wish me good luck. I'm just excited. Let's go. Challenge accepted. Challenge tomorrow. All right. Peace and love.